Sundar Pichai once said, artificial intelligence will be part of our future. It's inevitable. And we all know it's not future, it's already the present. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nerdy Optometrist, a podcast channel for all things eye care. And this is your host, Ukti Vora. Before we dive into this very interesting episode, please don't forget to follow my channel on your favorite platform and never miss an update. With that, it's a pleasure and honor to welcome a fellow nerd, a tech geek. I think I would keep the word geek specifically for him because he's someone who I have been following for a while. And if you are in anywhere close to eye care and tech space, he needs no introduction. He has been an inspiration for many. You must have definitely followed all his work. That's incredible. And some things are even really breathtaking to see how he's diverting everything and changing things in our industry. With that, let me do a formal introduction of our nerdy guest, Dr. Masoud Nafey, who is a three-time AI tech founder, a senior consultant to a global wealth fund, holds several board positions in innovative tech companies, and helped build the Stanford University's Vision Performance Center at the Human Centered AI Institute. He also served in executive roles in technology verticals within VSP Global and EssilorLuxottica, building EHRs, telehealth solutions, and medical device image management solution. He has a proven track record in innovating, productizing, commercializing, and scaling tech businesses. Trust me, I've done some part of it and I still struggle. I don't know how he has done it all, but that's what this guest is all about. So, very warm welcome to the Nerdy family.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Ukti. I'm really excited to be here. And I don't know about that introduction, but hopefully we can live up to it.
I'm sure you're already crushing it. So I'm going to go from the start of you have this very good saying on your LinkedIn, which says that you are a proud immigrant and an American dreamer. So I want to understand that from being a fellow immigrant, I want to know how did you bump into optometry and eye care?
Yeah, so this depends on the journey, right? So my childhood journey consists of, being a refugee, a bomb hitting our house, and then being displaced, and then trying to find your new home. And along that journey, when you're a baby, because it was 9 months old when it happened to me, you come across certain struggles that probably shape you. You don't really know, right? It's kind of like how I deal with my children now. I'm watering the plant and I won't see it actually bloom till later. And I think I saw a lot of struggle and I wanted to solve for some struggles. And naturally you really care for people and you find that you really care for people, especially when you're all experiencing hardship together.
Mhm.
That sometimes brings people together. And one thing that I loved about healthcare is it's a different way to bring people together and care for people. So ultimately, with kind of skipping some steps in history there, but ultimately that's what drove me towards pursuing a career in healthcare. I first wanted to be a pediatrician because I love kids.
Mhm.
And my local optometrist was just one of the best people and human beings I've ever met, and he influenced me to go into a profession that can deal with all types of patients, from pediatrics to geriatrics, everything in between.
That's wonderful. So, thanks to that optometrist who encouraged you to become an optometrist and bring this technology that we are all so passionate about. So, tell me, you told me how you got into optometry. You wanted to be a pediatrician. You were always interested in science, healthcare. How did technology come into your life? And this is a very, very interesting question for me. So, tell me some stories around that.
Well, it's funny, it definitely wasn't natural and it wasn't planned. My entire, I think definitely, as you already know, since I was a baby, my nothing is planned in my life. And this is really similar to all of that, right? So I when I was practicing, I noticed some serious problems. And the problem solver in me wanted to fix some of these problems. And I realized that a lot of those problems stemmed from technology, maybe being the rate limiting step or really not suitable for the most efficient workflows in patient care. And I noticed that inefficiency was taking me away from something I loved doing, which was connecting with the patient. I loved the relationship. And the inefficiencies take me away from that. It just makes me a data gatherer and then someone who can analyze that and then ultimately come up with a, diagnosis treatment plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like AI, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be the human in the middle. So at that time, I was really privileged to have the opportunity to be connected to industry leaders and some who are my patients that then I started to pick their brain on these problems, and then ultimately some introductions were made and I was able to start building some technology. That was a huge learning curve for me at the time, understanding how to build technology, how it works, all the contingencies. That was all new to me, but I was so dedicated to solving that problem, and some persistence is what got me there.
And how would you rate pre-COVID and post-COVID, the efficiency level that has improved or enhanced within the industry overall? What are your thoughts on that?
With the pandemic was really kind of the trampoline that kind of elevated the use of technology in our industry. And it's funny you mentioned because me and the team, we were building a telemedicine solution pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And this was really so we can connect with patients more than what we do just one time in our office. It's giving another way to stay connected.
Yeah.
And again, it's the relationship piece, right? And being able to connect with your provider is every patient's dream, frankly, if there's a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, when we were building it, nobody wanted it. And, I got my, wrist slapped about, spending money building this product, this and that. And then I think 2018 that got launched and nobody wanted it. COVID hit and there was only one solution out there that was ready and integrated and actually built in, not bolted on, but built in within the EMR platform, EHR platform we were building. And now it kept practices open.
Yeah.
So I definitely believe that people, because of the necessity to take care of patients during that time, because healthcare had to continue, caring for patients had to continue, the necessity drove this industry forward to adopting more technology.
The reason I said pre-COVID, post-COVID is because I also got introduced to technology and eye care pre-COVID, and I had faced the exact same experience. I was working in a telehealth company, and people were like, "Don't even talk about it." It was like anytime I said that I'm working for this company, it was considered that I was doing something illegal or crime. I don't know. I felt it's not that bad, and
Right.
then COVID hits, and everybody wants technology and eye care, right? Uh, but I feel post COVID, and as you rightly said, we were not prepared then. But post COVID, there's been a lot of development in this space and beyond. Connecting with patient, we fear with new technologies, we might get even disconnected. There is this confusion where technology is going to take over and you are no longer required, or you are going to see more patients. There is this constant debate. What are your thoughts about that?
One of my mentors told me when I was first getting into the technology space, he had said to me, technology is neither good or bad. It's how you use technology that defines it to be good or bad. And that really resonated with me. And that obviously it's stuck. I also think about at the end of the day, there's what patients demand of us, and patients and what's influencing patients.
Hmm.
Patients are also consumers.
Yeah.
Consumers are influenced by the Amazonian consumerism model, which is here now, immediate, and it's convenient.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is where we get stuck because then you start talking to our colleagues and you start talking to others, and they're like, well, I don't want to do this. And patients love seeing me and they love seeing me in person. I agree. But that doesn't mean that there aren't convenient ways for them
Mm.
to be more connected with you and actually see you more, right? So when
Yeah.
you start to think about that, I think that will build, loyalty to that practice to another degree. And I start to think about how vertically integrated digital solutions is the way of the future. It's
Mm-hmm.
able to kind of have everything in one place, easy to access. And I think that gets aligned with meeting the patient where they want to be met. So I'm not sure if I directly answered your question, but it's something that's important, and I think something I'm passionate about when I think about why we have to adopt technology so we can meet the expectations of the people we care for.
No, and you did definitely answer the question in a very nice way, where we want everything right now. with convenience, efficiency that you touched upon earlier. And it has to happen in the, as some of our colleagues say, in the most human way, so you can still see your patients. But why can't it be convenient? Why can't we reimagine our processes, which is convenient not just for your patients, and sometimes it could be convenient for you as well? Who would not like to spend more time with their family, have a meal together with their kids, if they can still see the patient remotely, right? And then be like, okay, yeah, I'm home on time, I can still see the patient, and I can still have like some family time. So convenience could be on both the sides, for patients as well as for the doctors.
Great point.
So we did talk about your interaction with technology, how you bumped into it, and how you fell in love and you decided to solve this problem. But solving a problem is usually one piece of the entire process. You building it, you said, like, you were not very well encouraged initially. Pandemic happened, and that's where, you were ready to have the solution. All of these processes has multiple challenges, from ideas to realizing how you would build it, to scale it, to commercialize it, and going to the market and making it palatable to the consumer, because what you might have in your mind is not the solution the end user is looking for.
Man, yeah.
So tell me a little more about your entrepreneurial journey, being like a tech founder for like three of them. So I want to understand, how were you able to navigate all of this?
Yeah, I went through a lot of independent journeys and that summary that you explained, right? So concisely. But I mean, I've went the direction where I'm going to build the coolest thing on earth, and then nobody wants it because people were very confused about what is it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of a founder's journey in itself. Then you also kind of have the more practical solutions where you already know the problem,
Mm-hmm.
you know the product market fit. Now you just got to build the product for that market, right? And then you have to figure all the operational burden and the processes and the people and the skill sets that you need to kind of build that, whatever that is. And in my world, it was always a product or a platform. So and honestly, I couldn't have done anything without the people I've worked with. I mean, it's so it's understated how important it is to have people around you who are experts in their respective field to actually get a product to market,
Mm-hmm.
commercialize it, and then obviously scale it. So that, that's needless to say that's important. When I think about the challenges, I think a lot of times as a, startup founder, we start to think about product market fit and we think we have the right answers, and the market's telling us something different. And sometimes that happens because you just don't have enough customers to give you feedback. So it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like that really critical period. Or do you give the product out for free? How do you figure out so you can actually fit this perfectly to solve the problems that they actually have? How do you go from assumption to reality?
Mm-hmm.
You hear this all the time in any book you read about the challenges of entrepreneurship, but you just have to keep going, right? Persistence is really the key. It's not about how you start and all the motivation you have to get this thing up and running, but it's around when you want to fail is when, or when you want to, excuse me, not when you want to fail, but when you want to quit, you don't. And I think that's actually what makes people successful. And you hear this on all these, look at all these entrepreneurs that have multi-billion dollar companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unicorn. Those folks all dealt with a lot of struggles in that very company that now is a no-brainer to us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just some of those things. And I think a lot of the audience that maybe a lot of the folks that are watching this podcast are actually probably curious about, how technology is built. You're doing it too. Maybe it's something you can try and shed light on.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, definitely. I think building technology, of course, I'm not an engineer. I've worked in the product management, marketing management side of piece, just to kind of bring it out and say it out loud for people who don't know what I do outside the podcast. But I do work very closely with technology, and I understand and I relate to these challenges that you have built like a great product, which you feel is amazing, but is it really solving the problem for the end user and the customers? Sometimes you over engineer one feature while you under engineer something else, and then you have to start again. So that's my life as well on the other side of technology, and I'm sure you experience that.
Yep. And for the folks who are listening that may not understand the difference between product management and engineering, right?
Yeah.
So, you have folks who can actually code, that know what they're doing, in building technology and building software, and then you've got the product folks who understand the customer,
Mhm.
understand the business, and understand what problems need to be solved and how it should be designed, so they can solve those problems with the efficiency, meeting expectations of customers. And I think the fact that you have that skill set is a wonderful thing, and something I'm sure that you continue to hone even today.
Yeah, and thanks for, this really, I'm loving this conversation because you're talking as a true entrepreneur and a CEO, because I was saying like product manager, marketing manager, because that's what I do all day and it was so natural to me. And you're like, let me pause and describe this to people. So apart from knowing the customer side, which you rightly explained, the product management, I also manage the marketing side, which is commercialization. And now I want to pose the question back to you about commercialization piece, because I know being on the marketing side, telling the story and actually asking people to buy is one of the most difficult thing, because you have already invested so much. If you have some tips, some experience that you want to share when you're commercializing a new product, a new solution to the market, as an entrepreneur, that you would like to talk about.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things you talk about when you talk about commercialization or really a go-to-market strategy. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, first it's understanding who your customer is, and who really is your customer, right? Who's the one that's going to be the decision maker to purchase this or not purchase it, right? So that can differ. Even in the optometric practice, we think it's the CEO. And that CEO is typically an optometrist. So you go, they're the decision maker. We just got to win them over. What do we learn? Not always. You have an office manager that actually runs the business, or maybe you have a front desk staff that he or she is really the boss, and you start to really understand that the decision makers aren't necessarily who you think you are. And this concept of understanding who your customer truly is key to
Yeah.
commercializing. And then you talk about kind of ICP, your ideal customer profile, and who are they? So, it's like, are you building a Honda? Or are you building a Rolls Royce?
Yeah.
Great cars, different markets for both. And then your
Mhm.
go-to-market strategy is going to change because Hondas, some of those consumers like to watch TV. Rolls Royce, they don't need to make commercials. From a marketing strategy, again, part of your go-to-market strategy is marketing and sales, right? Is you try to understand where are your customers, what are they doing, how do they behave, and how do you get from changing their behavior, their intention, and then ultimately their action. And I
Mhm.
think these are pieces that you start to think about when you put together a commercialization strategy, a go-to-market strategy, and then there's other pieces to it, like pricing. So
Yeah.
price yourself out. Do you price yourself too low? These are all real challenges. Founders deal with this all the time. So understanding that the right pricing, and there's different ways to price a product. You can
Mhm.
price it as a one-time fee. You could price it as a monthly fee. You could price it as an annual fee. You could price it as a usage fee. And then you go, which one is going to resonate best with my customer? How do they view their business? Do they have cash flow problems? So again, being obsessed with your customer will, I think, lead to the best product, the best marketing, and the best sales strategy. And all that, of course, leads to go to market, in my opinion.
I loved your answer. And one thing that I would like to add is what I've also learned from this, my experience working in the industry. And as you rightly said, don't be shy to change your strategy, because this is a learning process, how you said, right? Like there is just pricing. It is such a complex piece where, sometimes you might start too high, too low, you want to change, and you might be scared that, oh my God, I'm changing the strategy. Will I be looked down upon? Will I fail? Will that cause like, failure or success? So, but I feel the fun is in the hustle. So just keep trying and see what sticks, because as you rightly said, like focusing on the customer and what fits for them seamlessly is will be the key for your success. So I would say don't shy to change your strategy to be successful.
And you probably will have to change your strategy if you are successful several times.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree. Multiple times, even after being successful, like the term successful, I feel sometimes is really weak, because you also have to sustain it. So wherever you feel that you're successful, it still has to continue to grow and I don't think there's ever an end point to it.
No, I agree. And if you actually, I'll add to this. When you start to really understand your product well and where you think you provide the most amount of value for the customer, obviously that value is what they'll pay for.
Mm-hmm.
Another piece of this that's often forgotten. What's the value of you having more customers on your platform? And maybe there's value that you gain for certain features if they use it. And if they, then you understand maybe your long-term strategy fits with, like, for example, there could be a feature that you know you built, but it's going to cost you. Every time someone uses it, it's going to cost you something.
Mm-hmm.
So do you pass on those costs to the customer? Maybe. Do you add a little margin? Maybe. What if that feature provides so much value to your product and perfecting your product down the road that, and it fits with some longer term strategy, that it just makes sense to eat that cost and just give it to them and make sure that people use it. And then there's value in that. So, this is the whole kind of, that's why founders, that's why founders don't sleep, right? Because there's so many different ways to think about one problem.
I love that. Especially, I feel in today's world, everyone is fascinated by the word entrepreneurship and the word like startups. I think this has become the new buzzword. Everybody wants to be like a startup founder, wants to play around with idea.
Yeah.
But I have had a privilege to speak to several entrepreneurs like yourself, and the struggles are real. The pain is real. The journey is not as beautiful and shiny as it looks outside. So it requires a lot of persistence, efforts, and it could also it's always hard. If it's not hard, I don't think so. You're in the right direction.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I thought I had it right and I didn't have it right. And where you knew this product was going to fit for, a certain industry and that industry wasn't interested. And then you have to flip. I mean, I've done that where we built such a product that so many different applications and then deciding on which application do you go with. Where are you going to actually create the most traction? There's the shotgun
Hmm.
method. Try them all, see what sticks.
Yeah.
Or, and then sometimes you have to make some quick decisions because everyone knows this. When you're building something new, focus is key. So then you can't do that all the time.
Hmm.
So definitely there's a lot of those things. And I can't tell you how many people, well, after I've shared my story, people who have had the desire to be an entrepreneur said, maybe I'm good with my paycheck. Because you truly do hit a lot of those peaks and valleys, right?
Yeah.
Those ebbs and flows come and it's not for everyone. It's not for the weak. And then honestly, if you're the CEO, what happens? The problems that nobody else on your team can solve, then they float up to the top and it comes to you. So you're
Yeah.
always dealing with the hardest problems.
Absolutely. And I think that's a very good piece of advice where like, sometimes it's important to understand what people are getting into. But I want to divert our conversation slightly to understand because of your background in tech and innovation, and you're so deeply involved in what's happening within our eye care industry. Are there any interesting technologies or innovations that you are most excited about and you feel is going to change our industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think without getting into a product and being biased towards certain products that I
Yes.
think are better than others, I would say, the buzzword artificial intelligence is going to change the way we practice, right? I mean, it's not going to, and then there's a lot of fear around this, and I think the fear comes from ignorance. I think this is true beyond technology, beyond innovation. Anytime someone is ignorant, I think it stems from fear.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about that and then you go, okay, are you going to lean in and try to learn it, or would you rather just stay ignorant and then hopefully, just avoid it? There's the
Mm-hmm.
avoidance technique, right? And I don't think that people can avoid how the world is changing around us, right? Like, okay, remember when the internet first came out, we were like, oh, you can shop online. I don't want to shop online. I want to see everything that I buy. That's silly. I mean, buy something I've never seen before. No way that will ever happen. Now, e-commerce is the primary way we shop. So
Yeah.
similarly with AI, People are like, I don't want to touch that. I don't want that. That's weird. It's going to take my data. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. Well, it's been around us. It's still around us. Think about Siri, right? It learns your patterns. Look at, all your maps on your phone. When I get in my car at, 6 a.m., it says, looks like you might want to go to the gym today, huh, Masoud? Here's the directions. And it's like, dang, it's creepy, but this is it. It's just pattern recognition that can lead to certain actions is really what artificial intelligence can help us with. Now let's talk about what that means for our industry. It could mean a lot of things, right? Let's talk about pharmaceutical industry. R&D to create a drug, billions of dollars, right? In a lot of cases, millions, billions, a lot of money, and it's a long process. You better believe artificial intelligence can actually shorten that process
Yeah.
and get more accurate better. There is going to be a point where this technology alone is going to help us cure more disease than ever before. And then you start talking about clinical support from medical diagnostics and things that you do a lot of. And a lot of that is pattern recognition. And people go, well, the technology is getting so good. Do you ever need a doctor? Yeah, you do, because patients do like doctors. They do like the interaction. They like to ask a human being why and how and understand different context, right? So the as more as AI has progressed, the concept of a human in the middle has become more important. So I don't think technology will replace us as optometrists. I think technology will replace our role of being data gatherers. And instead, we could just do what we've always signed up to do, be empathetic human beings who want to care for others.
I love that. I am a passionate eye care technology person. So I love how you highlighted let's not be data gatherers, though data means a lot of value, but you really need to be the human and the person who can bring more value to patient care versus just showing them your back and making your notes.
Yeah.
While not even looking at them and in at least the 10 minutes of the interaction that you have with them. So yeah, so tell me about any new technology that you are working with or any innovation that you are surrounded with. I'm sure you're doing something that it's worth sharing.
Well, first of all, I'm privileged to be able to work with some of the biggest players in the eye care industry and be able to help them with some of their innovation strategy, technology strategy, some things like that. There's a lot of companies who have never been technology companies that are starting to enter the world of being a technology company or offering a product. And there is a lot of change that needs to happen in order to fit, right? Because let's say you're a big pharmaceutical company, now you're offering technology. Your
Mhm.
organization isn't even ready. The
Yes.
structure of your organization, and who's accountable for X and Y and Z. And then you could do the same in other organizations and really say the same thing. So I've been honored and privileged to be able to work with some of the most respected organizations, and I just feel so blessed to be able to do that. What I'm working on as my own passion project is, a project called Ment that is a relationship intelligence platform. I believe with the help of technology, we can build better relationships, human being to human being, because I truly believe we're meant to be together.
Hmm.
So if you think about it, it's like, okay, now as you and I have built our relationship, I think I could have connected with you much faster and really built more trust, and we would have kind of lowered our barriers of distrust if I had known more about you or if we had actually connected deeply on a passionate topic, right? So there's certain
Yeah.
topics of interest and things like this. I think technology can get us that information. So then I can connect very closely with that person right away. So imagine what I could do to patient care. What if I knew more about my patient the moment I first saw them? Hello, Mrs. Smith. Hello, Mr. Jones. It's really nice to meet you. And then you know more about them, so you will actually treat them in a way that resonates with that human being. Because, 90% of language is what? Body language. So you can actually modify the way you can. Actually, this was my favorite part of patient care when I was seeing patients, is that although every patient at the end of the day maybe had 80% of them or 70% of them had similar conditions, every one of them was a unique individual.
Yeah.
And so this relationship piece I'm very passionate about, and I think technology can help us not only build new relationships better and faster, but build deeper bonds with relationships that are existing. And then hopefully that can move our world forward. We can actually collaborate more. We can learn more about each other, and then it can provide more impact to the world, right? And so that's kind of what I'm trying to solve for. And we've founded this platform, this relationship intelligence platform called Ment to just see where it can go and where it can solve some of these problems.
Is it available for people to check it out?
Not yet. And it may not be. So it really depends on go-to-market strategy. Here
Mm-hmm.
for full circle moment. Maybe APIs are the way. Um, there's all these technologies that are out there that has loads of information about people. Well, maybe it feeds in a name and then the relationship intelligence platform does its thing through their complex algorithms and all the different learnings in that model, and then shoots out enhanced information, right? So I don't know yet.
Okay, but thank you so much for sharing it on this platform. I think it's very interesting to start thinking in this direction of how we can make impactful changes as human being, as doctors, with our patients, within our industry, using technology. I think that's my takeaway. And I wish you and your team a good luck to be able to, to so that we can sometime, maybe soon, be able to experience the outcome of all your development with this relationship intelligence. So really looking forward to that.
Thank you so much.
So with that, we did talk a lot about technology, eye care, your journey, but it's time for my game segment where we're just trying to know you a little more outside eye care and technology.
All right, let's do it.
So this is a simple game called this or that. I'll give you two options. Just pick your preference.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
Cat person. I like both, but cat.
Okay. Phone call or text?
Phone call for me.
Okay. Glasses or contact lenses?
Glasses for convenience, contact lenses if I'm trying to look nice.
Just pick one.
Like both. I'll say glasses because you can get stylish
Like that. Online shopping or shopping in store?
online.
Online. Okay. You don't need to touch and feel the product.
Okay, well, it depends on the product, but I mean, majority of my life, it would be online.
Online. All right. Cake or ice cream?
Ice cream,
Okay. Oceans or mountains?
mountains,
Horror movie or comedy?
comedy.
Okay. Day at a park or at the beach?
I'll say at the beach.
All right. So I definitely know a little more about you. I know that you're a cat person and we can have more ice cream. So I think next time we meet, that's going to be our go-to thing.
That sounds good. And look, we don't live too far from one another, so look forward to seeing you in person again soon.
Absolutely. And before I end this episode, I want you to share one quick takeaway message for all my listeners.
Be curious and always learn. Your curiosity will take you so far in life, and learn. Take the time to learn.
Love that. Thank you so much once again for sharing all these insights. And I think it has been fascinating to see everything that you're doing. I had the privilege to see up close of things that you've been working on through even your being a keynote speaker at certain events. I think it's wonderful to see people like yourself changing the industry in the positive direction. So for all the listeners, I'll be dropping his LinkedIn profile in the description. So definitely connect with him, follow him and see what new things are happening within this industry. Technology, artificial intelligence is inevitable. It's here and it's going to be there forever. So, with that, once again, Dr. Masood, a very warm welcome to the Nerdy family, and it's a pleasure to have you on this show.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.